good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It depends on where you are connected. My name is Emmanuel Adigbola, and I'm so excited to welcome you all to today's episode of our Keyna Health Show, where we discuss different health issues. And today we are going to be discussing yet another interesting topic. I'm going to wait for the host to introduce the topic, but I'm not alone right in the studio. I have so many professionals and that will be discussing the topic with us today. So let me start from Dr. Sondo. Will you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers, sir?
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Law Sondo. I am a healthcare practitioner based in Lanham, Maryland, and we are here today to present you some health talks on Keyna Health Show. Good evening, everybody.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good to see you. And let's bring in our Afro doctor, Dr. Choma. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Chioma Ogunedo. I am resident in and I'm a nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner. I am into family primary health care, and I'm happy to be here today. Hi.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we have our dietitians, our nutritionists, our what other titles for Miss Udoka in the house. You always look different every episode. Anyways, go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, I'm Udoka. I have a master's degree in clinical nutrition. So thank you for inviting me to help give input on this discussion.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good to see you here on this show, not Clubhouse this time around. I know very soon we're going to take Keyna Health Show to Clubhouse because I see you in different rooms at Clubhouse. I just, oh, Udoka is everywhere. This is somebody present. Okay, yeah. Our co-host was on vacation and now he's back. So everybody join me to welcome the co-host of this show. Mr. Alex, go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, I just want to appreciate all of you. I have already been introduced. You're welcome to the program.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And join me to bring in the host as she introduces the topic we are treating today and also welcome our viewers. Over to you, the host of Keyna Health Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Keyna Health Show. I am Keyna Menokora. I'm a family nurse practitioner in Dallas, Texas. Today, we want to discuss about pre-diabetes. I've been in family practice for the last 5 years, and each time you have a patient that has a blood sugar not quite high enough to be diagnosed as diabetic, most people do not take action to see what they can do to change their lifestyle in order to prevent that pre-diabetic episode and becoming full-blown diabetes. About 1 in every 3rd individual has pre-diabetes, and that's a staggering number. Over 88 million Americans are pre-diabetic. Most people do not even know what pre-diabetes is. Some people find out when they go to the doctor, but they refuse to make some necessary changes. So today we have all these panelists here, experts, to discuss what we can do to prevent pre-diabetes from becoming full-blown diabetes. Welcome to the show.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We are all welcome. So before I hand over to Mr. Alex and Dr. Keyna to pardon the kernel of this show, I would like to tell us, our viewers, that in order for us to see your comment, If you are connected with us on Facebook, make sure that you visit www.streamyard.com/Facebook. Is just going to take less than 30 seconds of your time. That will allow you to permit Facebook to stream your comment. And of course, if you are connected on YouTube, know that you can like this YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comment. Remember, this is not a radio broadcast. This is supposed to be a two-way communication. So you are welcome, 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 welcome to the show, to the show, to the show. Okay, over to you, Mr. Alex, and as we take off the show from there.
Yeah, as Dr. Keyna said, what we're discussing today is a very critical issue because a lot of people are ignorant of the role this particular health condition causes, getting them into full-blown diabetes. And I'm pleased that we have very knowledgeable and very experienced health practitioners. So let us go right away. Let me start with Dr. Law. Dr. Law, can you give us a little meaning, a little explanation of what pre-diabetes means?
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for inviting me to this show. Pre-diabetes, as the name sounds, appears like it is a step before diabetes because pre means before. But what it actually means is that somebody has elevation of blood sugar or the A1C that is above normal, but not high enough to be considered full-blown diabetes. So that is the condition that is called pre-diabetes. We notice that a lot of people fall under that category. When you do some health screening in your clinics, you find a lot of people. Some people have said it is 1/3 of the people, most people who come for healthcare screening. But as we go forward, we will talk more about this condition and tell you how to avoid it and what to do. But now let it suffice that we have a clear-cut definition of what it is. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Please, just to be able to have a very smooth ride and a smooth show, let's all put our phone on silence, because once your phone is vibrating, it's going to start disturbing the flow of the show, and that might cause some people stress. I mean, we have discussed stress on this show. You don't want to give stress to somebody. Okay, over to you, Mr. Alex. Continue.
Definition of pre-diabetes.
Sorry, we didn't catch your question.
Dr. Chioma.
Okay.
It appears, can you give us a little definition of pre-diabetes?
Thank you so much, fellow panelists. I can, like Dr. Law also said, pre-diabetes is a precursor to diabetes. It's something that happens before you get diabetes. Dr. Menoko mentioned that about 88 million Americans have pre-diabetes and they don't know. So the best thing to say is, what is diabetes? We have, 3 major types of diabetes. We discussed that on this show. And if we recall back, we're saying what leads to diabetes, or what stage are you at? So if we're looking at the 88 million people that she's talking about, and out of them, 94%, they're not aware of their status as being pre-diabetes. That is, in the next 5 years, they will jump into the full-blown disease of diabetes. That's the best way to define it, to explain it. That in the next 5 years, if it's not treated or taken care of, they're going to have diabetes. So my linking it to a follow-up will be, how will you know? What are the things that will tell you that you have pre-diabetes? How, as a human being on earth, you're just going about your business. How do you know that you are pre-diabetic? So there are certain things we can do to find out. If you have a family member that has diabetes, like your mom and your dad, you might be at risk. If you're 45 years and over, you might be at risk. If you're a woman and you had gestational diabetes, pregnant, and you have 9 month pound baby, you have a risk for diabetes. If you're an African American, Hispanic American, and some other age races, you have the risk of having pre-diabetes. So if you're aware of this, how do you find out? It is so simple. Go to cdcdiabetes.com and answer those questions. There are just 9 questions. It will open your eyes and you're like, it will give you a result and say, oh, you have a risk of having diabetes in the next 5 years. So the next step will be go to your doctor, do some tests, and they will identify whether you have diabetes already or you're still pre-diabetic. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's a good one.
Okay, Dr. Keyna, you have a follow-up questions?
No, I like how she put it together, and that is excellent. But you've outlined the risk factors that will prompt people to go ahead and get some testing done. But Dr. Law, can you tell us what type of test that individuals expect to have done in order to diagnose them with prediabetes?
The best test to get done is the A1C. And this test, I would not recommend that you go out and buy the kit. If you finish this risk factor test on cdc.gov and you find out that you're at risk, you can actually prompt your doctor, because some doctors, it's not that they're overlooking it, but there are other things that make you go to your doctor's office. So if you tell them that I took this test, you can even email it to them. I took this test, I think I'm at risk. They will run a simple test called the A1C test. It could be just a finger stick. If you're above 45, 50, and you have a health plan that have nurse practitioners coming to your home, you might be flagged. Or if you're overweight, you might be flagged for A1C test. And it's a simple test that lasts only 5 minutes. So they stick your finger, prick it, drop the blood, and the result comes out. So if your A1C for us now, once you have an A1C of 5.7, I have to let your doctor know that your A1C is 5.7. But the good thing about it is that even if it's 5 or 5.5, I will start the teaching. I will start telling you about diabetes. And once you say it, your clients are like, really? Yeah, this is the time for you to do the right thing, because pre-diabetes is reversible. Diabetes is not. So I want you to get that. Thank you.
Can you repeat that the last statement you just made?
I said pre-diabetes is reversible, but diabetes is not.
So what that simply means that it's very easy to cut off the pre.
It's very easy for you not to go to diabetes.
Okay.
If you and go back to being normal. But it's not easy for you to go from diabetes to not being diabetic.
Yes, because the theme of today's show is don't be fooled by that pre. So because we have pre-diabetes, so it's very easy for me to just remove the PRE and just leave it at diabetes. Or
no, what we're trying to do on this show today, what we're trying to do on this show today is to make you not to get to diabetes.
Okay.
We want you to not even jump over from pre to diabetes. We want you to go back
remove pre and delete diabetes.
Diabetes.
Okay. So I'm good in math, so I just want to undo it mathematically, Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, good.
You're right.
Okay, good.
Okay. Dr. Law, can you do you have anything to add to type of testings that are done in family practice in order to diagnose for people for diabetes?
Yes. Usually, if you do your regular finger stick with a glucometer, once your blood sugar has gone above 126 or fluctuates between that, or even stay above 100 persistently, you can begin to imagine that something is beginning to happen. Their blood sugar is not usually, for a young person, you find out that their blood sugar never gets above 100. But for some reason, yours is getting above 100 and getting to 130 and coming back. That's a sure sign that you are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. So what you need to do at that time is to watch out for what you're eating and what you're drinking. Also, when you do your A1C, like Dr. Keyna said, and is above 5.7 and maybe below 6.4, you are pre-diabetic. If it goes above that, you are diabetic. So it depends on where you find yourself. So some of the reasons why these things are like this is because certain things are beginning to change in your system, and your system is showing an elevation of blood sugar intermittently. So that is when you need to worry. And there are so many other things that you see in connection together with this kind of rise. Usually when you do the comprehensive, you see that the cholesterol sometimes is doing something also, as well as this blood sugar. So that's why we need to periodically check all these things, because they are harbingers of the real diabetes, which we are trying to avoid and which we want everybody to be careful not to get. So that's how I leave it for now.
Okay, so just to, before we continue, I'm just trying to get something clear here. I know by the time we start talking about solutions or causes or how to remedy, I know it all boils down to, okay, good diet, exercise, this, blah, 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 blah. So now, assuming somebody is having a very good diet, somebody is exercising, someone is, I mean, all this, and this, I'm directing this to Mr. Doka. So are there any other things that could be responsible for someone to be pre-diabetic? Or is, I mean, I know we talk about the genetics, right? It could be genetics, but now let's assume, okay, you look into your family history, nobody has been diabetic, which is sometimes it's not too common, especially in Africa. But then, is there are there anything, or particularly maybe let me just focus the question on stress. Is it possible for stress to cause pre-diabetes?
So that one's for me?
Yes.
Yes. I think we find that stresses can be related to so many other issues. One of the risk factors for prediabetes is weight. Stress can cause weight gain. Stress is so insidious in so many different ways. So definitely, if somebody feels stressed in their life, that can contribute.
All right. All right. Who wants to add to what Ms. Doka just said? I saw Dr. Thomas smiling. You want to go first?
No, I think she touched on stress, and you mentioned stress. You know, I'm trying to recall all the programs we've had, and we have always talked about stress, about food, about lifestyle changes. If you decide to start binging on McDonald's or any of the, I won't mention it. If you start binging on fast foods and start drinking alcohol every day, start living a sedentary life and stress, you will definitely get diabetes. So what we're trying to say here is that you can do things in moderation, live life in moderation, and be, free from diabetes.
All right. All right. Okay. Over to you, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, we are trying to find out why is it that so many people who are pre-diabetic don't know that they are pre-diabetic. That is one. And is there anything that is being done or could be done to create awareness on this issue so that people don't suddenly find themselves into full-blown diabetes just because they never knew they were pre-diabetic? Either Law or Dr. Choma take up this question.
I think, Lord, if you don't mind, I would like to.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, there's a lot of things being done. There's a lot of awareness going on. The Center for Disease Control has recognized this issue. And as late as 2016, there was a pre-diabetes awareness show program that was being aired on TV. They went to different states. They engaged the health plans, and now people are being taught. If you're a medical professional and someone walks into your office and you look at all these risk factors, overweight, age, um, your sexual orientation or sex and race, is beginning to gear practitioners to check and monitor, because what we're trying to do is preventative management of diseases. So yes, there's so much awareness going on now. Healthcare. Some health plans are paying for you to go to the gym. They're paying for your exercises. They're willing to send you to nutritionists, dietitians like Udoka. So they're busy now. It's easier and cheaper to arrest diabetes before it becomes diabetes. Thank you.
Yeah, but you have not also didn't answer the other aspect. Why is it that so many people don't know they're diabetic? Law, you might take off from there.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. First and foremost, pre-diabetic is non-symptomatic. You don't, most of the times, get to know that you have that condition because it's not full-blown diabetes. So some of the regular symptoms of diabetes might not show at that time. So you might be going about thinking nothing is wrong with you until you get tested. That's why everybody should do physical at least once a year, because these things come gradually. They don't just come all of a sudden. So the doctor could catch it anytime you go for treatment, and then and then start taking measures to take care of it. So that is, and sometimes pre-diabetes can show us also when you have some parts of your body darkened around the neck or some parts of your body. But people ignore it thinking it's ordinary skin conditions. So, but eventually, if you're able to see a doctor and check your A1C or do even your regular finger sticks and see how your blood sugar is fluctuating or what levels they are, then you should be able to go to the doctor. My blood sugar is high, and then they'll take the A1C and determine whether you're diabetic or pre-diabetic. So ordinarily, you might not know. Thank you.
So now, Udoka, how do we go about educating people on what type of diet and what type of lifestyle changes that can help them to prevent prediabetes from going into full-blown diabetes?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that have been shown to really help, because the goal when you have prediabetes is to reverse it. That's the goal. So you may have heard this idea of exercising for 150 minutes per week. So for some people, that would just be walking for 30 minutes, 5 days out of the week. The other thing that has been shown to be very effective is if you are overweight, attempt to lose 5 to 7% of your weight. So maybe you're 200 pounds, and for your height, you're overweight. 5% of 200 would be 10 pounds. And when people are losing weight, a lot of times people say, I need to lose 20 pounds, 40 pounds. But actually, just 5% of your body weight has been shown to be clinically effective. Another thing that's very interesting that we've seen is that calcium and vitamin D play a very big role in your insulin sensitivity. So if you are not getting calcium-rich foods, that's something you need to start adding to your diet. And if you have a vitamin D deficiency, which many people have without realizing it, you need to start taking some vitamin D supplements. So those are the things that have been shown to be effective in reversing prediabetes.
Awesome, awesome. I realize that we have Dr. Bright Gochuku all the way from Nigeria. Good to see you. You're looking like a priest.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manuel.
You are welcome. So what's going on with Nigeria with prediabetes, and is there anything like that over there? What is David Domenico Foundation doing to educate people, or what have you guys done, or what do you plan to do? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manuel. Bright Ugochukwu is my name. I represent David Domenico Foundation here in Nigeria, and I'm glad to be on this show. Quick response. The foundation, David Domenico Foundation, has been doing great in terms of health education on diabetes, because here the problem cuts across screening, diagnosis, and management. So each year, starting from 2016, we distribute not less than 20 cups of metformin to people who are diagnosed with this condition free of charge. And the response we get is that when you go to source for this medication locally here, you might not get the correct one. A lot of fake, you see them in the market. So they are always very, very excited, very like the second coming of Christ has come whenever we do a medical mission, because they get these medications free of charge, and they are the best of its originality. We don't stop there. We continue monthly to refill their medications, because we cannot just do once and go away. So by that, we capture a lot of communities in different local governments, and we are poised to do more. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that sharing. Okay, over to you, Mr. Alex. You have any question for Dr. Bright or anybody?
Yeah, Bright. We will also want to know, have you taken time to know, to do any screenings on people who are pre-diabetic? Because I know you've been identifying those who are diabetic, but today we're talking of pre-diabetic. Have you been able, did you identify those who are pre-diabetic, and how have you been following them up? How did you follow them up?
Okay, thank you very much. Those who could be referred to fall under that category will always reject it, because it's a crime here to tell somebody a disease is imminent. And what we celebrate here normally is when the doctor has confirmed it, and that's when the person will stop the religious sentiment syndrome of "it's not my portion" and "I'm healed in Jesus' name." Yeah, we are all healed. So we have a lot of patients here who are pre-diabetic, but we don't do much so that you don't touch their conscience, So we are so much concerned about people who are diagnosed and who need this medication. So these are the people we deal with. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, over to you, Mr. Alex.
Continue. Okay, so from what you have said, this is a very big challenge, because from what we are doing today, we are trying to stop those who are on that level, on that section of the health condition, from transiting into type 2 diabetes. Do you think we can design a program, an enlightenment program, to let them know that it is time now to stop living in denial and know what it means to be pre-diabetic, in order to stop sliding into diabetes? Do you think such a program can be designed?
Definitely, we have a program on ground now to mark the August meeting. As we all know, this is a period where women gather to make out things for themselves and how life could be better in different local governments and communities. So we already have a medical program on ground, and part of it is health education. where we lecture them. The old adage says prevention is better than cure. But what we're telling them right now, that early screening, saves life. We have a program, like I have said, and it captures almost 70% of the health education we have on board. So we continue to tell them to make use of our local diets here that are rich in protein, especially our natural beans we refer in Igbo to be akede. We also educate them to go to their backyards and get some fruits and vegetables they can have access to eat, not just buy it. Instead of patronizing junks that the junk markets that have overtaken the city. So it is very possible, and we are on ground and we are doing it already. So I think there will be success in the near future with the massive and aggressive health education and enlightenment we are taking to them this time around. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So I guess our 30 minutes is gone already, and we still have a lot to cover. So let's continue as we look into those questions. Or Dr. Keyna, you have any questions or any comment based on what Dr. Bright has said? Okay. Guess she's still having challenges with her internet. Over to you, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, Dr. Chuma, Doka has talked about lifestyle, and the last time you made a contribution, you also talked about lifestyle. But then I also understand that there are people who are mostly affected, who are more prone to being diabetic. What category of people are these? Who are these people who are more prone to be attacked by diabetes?
Okay. I had mentioned, some people that are prone to having diabetes or pre-diabetes, and what I said initially was that if people are able to use their phones or computers and go to cdc.gov and type in pre-diabetes, there are certain questions you can answer, and it will lead you towards knowing if you're at risk. And one of those risk factors is your age. If you're above 45, you could be pre-diabetic. That's one. Two, if you're obese, that is your BMI is more than 30 or from 30 and above, you're prone to having diabetes. If you're from an African American or Hispanic American, or even from Nigeria because you're black, you're prone to having diabetes. Another thing is your lifestyle. Some people have sedentary lifestyle, or even the kind of work you do, where you sit on your desk from morning till you leave work in the evening, you come back, you eat, and you go to bed. That also is a bad thing. So, like Doka mentioned, if you can exercise, and I tell people, oh, I'm a carpenter, that's hard work. I say, yeah, that's your job. Your body is used to it. You have to make out that time that you can, take some walk or do some jumping jacks. Like when we were young, we used to do this. I think it's with a rope. Jump like 50 times a day, and that will help you. Just be conscious of the fact that you are at risk and you want to do something about it. Your lifestyle should change. You cannot just say, oh, I work so hard Monday through Fridays. When I come back, I'm tired. It's either you exercise in the morning or you exercise in the evening. For me, I like to do it in the morning before I go to work. It helps me get my day going. So just try and tweak what you do to accommodate yourself in being healthy. You have to be. I tell it my selfish time. It's my time to be healthy. It's my time to do the right thing for me, not for any other person. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Chioma, just one more question. You talked about people who do a lot of, let's say, hard work, like the carpenters. I was talking to somebody about exercise, and he tells me, the type of job he does in the office, he's always walking up and down, and by the time he climbs the upstairs and comes back, and know that he would have done enough. Is that okay by you?
I don't think it's okay because he has other risk factors linked to it. So he cannot just say climbing up and down. Your body gets used to that climbing up and down. What about your cardio, your yoga, there are so many types of exercises you can do. It's for your health, the health of your mind and the health of your body. So carpentry is your job. Uh, yeah, they build muscles, but and the muscles burns the energy. But we need you to just get something going for yourself, just for you, even if it's for 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, Dr. Law, I want you to look at the diabetes 2 and diabetes 1, type 1, type 2. And also want you to see whether the type of food we eat in Nigeria is also a contributory to the rising incidences of diabetes in Nigeria. I want you to look at the two.
Yeah, before I get to your question, I want to add something to what Dr. Sharma has just said.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, there are predisposing factors that can also get somebody to either pre-diabetic or diabetic. For instance, heredity. There are some people, no matter what you try to do, you still get diabetes because maybe it runs in your family. So if you have the idea that some people in your family have had this condition in the past, it is time for you to begin to take measures that will prevent yours from coming up. If you have the predisposing factor, then the environment and your lifestyle will determine when this will show up or whether it will not show up at all. So I just wanted to add that part that we should also watch what happens in our family because it may also reflect in our health, if not at a younger age, at an older age. So that is that. Then type 1 diabetes is usually comes with heredity most of the times when the beta cells of the pancreas are not producing insulin. So this is insulin-dependent diabetes, where the person has to get insulin, and usually it comes very early, at a very early age. But the type 2 is something that develops over time, and usually it's called adult onset diabetes. So that's the difference between the two. So if you have type 2 diabetes, you may or may not need insulin, but type 1 must take insulin because they are not producing it. So that's the difference. We may have other differences we might highlight later, but those are the basic things about type 1 and type 2. Now, going to what we do in our place in Nigeria, I have history of people who were walking about with ulcers that couldn't heal when I was a child, and we didn't really understand that those people were probably diabetic, and that's why their wounds couldn't heal. And they will continue coming with one excuse or the other why they have such conditions. The people eventually get cellulitis from it, and some of them die from it. But the awareness now should let people understand that when you have such conditions, you should find out whether you're diabetic and control your diabetes so that your wound can heal. The kind of food we eat in our place, usually people eat one big meal a day. For instance, you can eat all the carbohydrates you can, one meal a day, usually in the evenings after going to work and doing everything. And the person goes to bed with that entire sugar entering into his blood. And the person soaks his kidneys and eyes and everything, all the organs overnight in a high concentration of glucose. And usually by the morning, the person is weak, and eventually the organs will start giving way. Somebody could get blind and all that. So that practice of eating just one meal, one heavy meal, and eating other light ones is not helping the situation at all, the diabetic condition of our people. Usually, if you are diabetic, you are supposed to eat very small meals. You are not able to control the inflow of sugar into your blood. by yourself because the homeostasis is no longer effective. So it is for you to regulate how much sugar you introduce into your system, and you can do that by eating very small meals all through the day instead of eating one large meal. So the other activities that we do, going to work and all that, fine. Sometimes that is also dangerous because you go to farm from morning till evening, you haven't eaten, and your blood sugar could be too low. People are known to have fallen and died because they have very low blood sugar. Because diabetes is not just the high blood sugar, it also comes with very low blood sugar. So both of them must be managed equally so that you maintain a particular level of blood sugar in your blood so that you can have good life. Sometimes if it is very high, you have blurry vision, even your speech will maybe slurred to some extent, and that is what we need to avoid. There needs to be a kind of standard that is neither high nor low, and it is for you to maintain that standard by either taking medication or controlling what you eat and when you eat it. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Law has raised a very critical issue about diet, and that has been one of the problems we have at home where people eat one heavy meal. But even at that, when you want to eat the other small meal, poverty has not allowed people to even do what Dr. Law is recommending. So, Udoka, and in the light of the challenges we have at home, what do you think? What do you suggest that our people should do to be able to fit into this template Dr. Law has suggested? Is there a way out? Dr. Chairman, I'm coming to you immediately after Doka. So what do you think? Because it's a critical issue we need to address.
Yes, it is a critical issue. Whenever there's restrictions like that, whether there's financial restrictions, time restrictions, availability to be able to access certain foods, whenever there's those type of restrictions involved, it does require more planning. And this is why it's very difficult for people in those type of situations, because there are many other things that you're thinking about other than just food. So it would require that the person is educated enough to realize that this is an aspect of life that is just as important as the other things that they're dealing with. And it does require planning, depending on if the person has access to how are they keeping food. Are they able to actually keep food, or do they always have to prepare food right then and there? Do they have access to snacks, and what type of snacks? Are they knowledgeable about what type of snacks what they have access to, which type of snacks should they take? Do they understand that it is important to be eating at a certain time rather than maybe they're only eating at one time at night because they were unaware that it mattered at all? So in those type of situations, I think education is very key, because nobody's going to take the time and extra effort to plan something that they don't understand is important. So that's my stance on that.
Yeah, Dr. Chioma, are there certain food items that are cheap, which people can pick in order to fit into these templates? There's sometimes whether they could get them at the back of their yard, or things that you can pick in the market, they at least haven't been there. So what do you suggest?
I was listening to her because her background is not in Nigeria, so she doesn't even know what these people are going through over there. But there was something Dr. Bright mentioned, about August meeting. I just wanted to piggyback on what she said on education. If we can plan a program, we are women, and because our women are the main source of food in the house, to teach them about food that we have in Nigeria. We have a lot. Nigeria is so endowed with good things, vegetables, even the yams that we have, everything. If you're a diabetic, you still need some, like Dr. Law said, you still need some carbohydrate. You don't want to go to the farm and drop there. So if we can use the August meeting and some other meetings that they have back home and plan a program where we will educate people on the right food. Because, you know, when I call home and I hear someone telling me about a box of Indomie, it irritates me. It does. But I don't know why I'm mad about those things. Because we have more nutritious food at home. We have our ogu, which is pumpkin leaf. We have the oboro too. We have all these leaves, tomatoes, tatashi, onions, and then we go to our starchy food, which we should eat in moderation, like the yams. We have beans, akedi, like he mentioned. We are so endowed back home, but what I think we should do is to have it, and I'm throwing this back to Dr. Keyna Health. If she can sit down with these panelists. Let's talk about things we have back home with our dietitian who is Udoka. This is an endowed platform. Let's just sit down and think about things that we have back home and what can we do with it for our diabetic patients. We've identified them, or we are going to identify them, like Dr. Bryce said, it's not their portion. You know, but if we identify them, or if we didn't even identify them, but we say your sister died of diabetes, there's a tendency that you might have it, right? And we plan this program and we now bring them in and say, we're not trying to ostracize you or make you feel bad. We just want you to know that this can happen to you down the line. And these are some of the things we can do to help. Our people will listen. But when you come, you know, like attack, they move back and they tell you it's not their portion. So let's agree to all sit down and plan something to give to the people back home to teach them, give them the basic knowledge of getting away from diabetes. I hope Dr. Keyna will take that. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much for sharing. Just to kind of throw in out there, one of the ways also our viewers can also help our people is by sharing this video. It doesn't cost you anything. Then just click your mouse and just share it. Share it 10 times. Share. Just share it. Somebody somewhere will watch this video clip, and I tell you what, you might save life. You know, Dr. Keyna prepared some slides. I know we've kind of covered most of them. I just run through them. Then there are some things that I noticed there that possibly we might want to have. Some people are just visual and they like to kind of see. So I talks about, okay, we've talked about the CDC develop. You want to brief over this, or should I go over that? You are muted.
They're pretty much most of the things that we have talked about. Okay. What is important is that people should understand that they need to go see their primary care physician annually. Every doctor that you see will draw your blood once a year. And once they draw your blood and your blood sugar is over 100 consistently, you're probably in pre-diabetic stage. If it's between 100 and 120, you're pre-diabetic. And anything above that consistently, you're probably diabetic. So it's very important that you go see your doctor. And most of these things, we have run through them: getting enough sleep, your diet. I wanted Udoka to actually talk a little bit about fiber. I had an internet problem a little while ago, so I'm not sure if she covered fiber, the difference between soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, and what are the fibers? What do you tell people to eat when you tell them to eat more fiber? What are those things?
Yeah, that's a really good nutritional topic to bring up because that affects. Sorry, somebody else is unmuted, but that does affect your blood sugar. So when it comes to fiber, the reason why fiber affects your blood sugar is because it kind of, I think of fiber as like a buffer in your diet. So if you're constipated, you add that buffer. And with blood sugar, it also adds a buffer. Another buffer in your diet are fats. They also add a buffer that help reduce your blood sugar. So when it comes to insoluble fiber and soluble fiber, insoluble fiber is a type of fiber that your body does not digest, meaning when you eat it, your body does not break down this fiber. That's how it acts like as a buffer. And then there's soluble fiber, which is a type of fiber which your body does break down. You can get insoluble fiber from just your diet. Some people buy supplements for insoluble fiber, but you can't get it from your diet. Whole grain wheats have insoluble fiber. Vegetables have insoluble fiber. These act as a buffer because sometimes sugar can bind to it. Sometimes it helps your digestion be more regulated, so sugar enters your body in a more regulated manner, rather than if you were drinking juice, your blood sugar is just gonna spike up because there's no buffer. But if you're eating something like insoluble fiber, you've added that buffer. So I didn't mention it before, but things like whole grains, those add the insoluble fiber into your diet. It is very important because in addition to things that I mentioned, like vitamin D, calcium, this aspect is also important. When you're using your diet to help reverse pre-diabetes, all these different aspects come into play. So, I mean, you can go so much deeper into it and figure out how do these different nutritional components affect how sugar is used in my body. But the easiest, quickest thing to say is have a balanced diet. And we say have a balanced diet because if you do, then you are getting insoluble fiber, you are getting calcium, you're getting the vitamin D and those type of things that I mentioned before.
Yeah, can I come in here briefly?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think the fiber is essential in the sense that, one, most of the fiber may not be digested, and you don't want too much carbohydrate. If you are not digested, it's good for you. You take minimal carbohydrate from what you're eating. And that is why I'm going to come into what used to be our traditional food, like we call it cassava, akpudoku. It has a lot of fibers, and most of those fibers are not digested. They're fertile, sometimes giving you crack while you are squeezing them. You are resting. So most of the things, the nutrients, the fiber is not digested, and therefore it limits the amount of carbohydrate that you absorb. Now, if you compare it to the finer cassava called ayo, whereby you get a lot of the carbohydrates put into your system, then you find out that the initial one that has a lot of fiber is better for us than even the processed one. So processed food is not better than the unprocessed. And that's what they tell us also in healthcare system, that we should avoid a lot of processed food and eat things in their natural way and state. So it's better for you to eat an apple than to drink an apple juice. It's better for you to eat akpudoku in our culture than to eat ayarayo for your system to get less of the carbohydrates. We need the carbohydrates, but we don't need it in excess because we can no longer be able to convert them to glycogen and store them and give it to you when you need it. Everything goes into your bloodstream if you are diabetic, or even sometimes pre-diabetic. So that is what I wanted to contribute to it. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So once again, we want to thank all our viewers and especially all our panelists. I mean, we've done great justice to this topic, and I know there are still a lot of questions to ask and a lot of answers to provide. We have 5 minutes to round off this show today. So I would like Mr. Alex, possibly Dr. Keyna, go through our questions, topics that you feel, okay, maybe we still really need to cover and we have not covered it, and let's quickly do justice to that before we round off.
Yeah, Dr. Law, I want to ask you one critical question. We are supposed to be talking about management, and a number of people who are asked to take insulin balk at it. They say, no, the thing has not reached that stage. It has not reached the stage of insulin. So does insulin signify a death sentence for a diabetic patient?
Not really, because insulin is the best diabetic medication. But for some reason, because it involves injection and you have to take yourself to get the medicine into your body, a lot of people run away from it. But definitely, if you can regulate your diabetes with insulin, is usually a better way of doing it, because some of these other medications have their pros and cons, have their side effects. Some cause you stomach ache, some cause you sleeplessness, so many other things that come with it. But insulin generally is what our body naturally produces. And if you don't produce enough and get yourself adequate insulin on a regular basis, it's usually better. I've had experience of even medical doctors in Nigeria refusing to take insulin when they really need it. And they continue to gamble from one field to another, and they are not controlling it well. Whereas they needed some insulin. And I have an example of one case where somebody, a fellow that was almost dying from diabetes, got rejuvenated when he started insulin. And then he wondered, oh, what have I been doing since? So insulin is not a death sentence. And people, if you need insulin, please go ahead and get it. It's expensive though, and not many people can afford it on a regular basis. And that's why you find out that in our native home, Nigeria, where some of these medications are not available, or if they're available, they're not affordable, or if they're affordable, you need some education on how to do it, and you don't get enough education to do those applications. So we need to do a lot. I think Dr. Keyna has a lot of challenges with the Medical Foundation to get this into the grassroots. Thank you.
Dr. Chioma, you may want to contribute.
I think Dr. Law has summed it up, that insulin is not a death sentence. I mean, if you're not afraid of injection, I don't know why you shouldn't take it. So if it's in Nigeria, it might be difficult for them to get it because of the price of the insulin, but it's not a death sentence. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Wow, what a great show. Well, we always like to drop what we call take home for our viewers. So maybe someone has connected since we started, or someone just joined us right now and you just want to drop, okay, even if you have not gotten anything since we started, this is my take home for you. So what would that be? Let me start with Mr. Doka. Over to you.
Yeah, so your take home should be pre-diabetes is reversible. And how you find out if you have it is if your blood glucose is above normal, but not yet at diabetes level. You can reverse it by incorporating exercise, something as simple as a 30-minute walk 5 times a week, 5 days out of the week. having a balanced diet, which includes foods with insoluble fiber like whole grains, leafy greens, foods that have calcium-rich foods. That includes dairy and dark leafy greens, and vitamin D. You may even need to get a supplement for that. If you do these things, and if you're overweight, 5% weight loss. So if you are 100, if you're 200 pounds, 5% weight loss would mean lose 10 pounds, something that is achievable. These things have been shown to help reverse prediabetes, and that should be your takeaway.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. What a knowledgeable dietitian we have in the house. Okay, over to you, Dr. Law.
Yes, in my native parlance, there's a saying that says, "Owakawa edewe." When you start getting old, you start crying because it comes with a lot of challenges. So once a child of 20 years can drink a bottle of glucose, and yet the blood sugar will remain below 100. But take it as an adult, 45 to 50 or towards 60, then you get a spike. And most of the time, this pre-diabetic situation is because of spikes. You don't have ready insulin waiting for this sugar to get into your system because you don't have residuals waiting. And therefore, it has to spike before your system reacts to it and starts running it down. So when you get to a level, a certain age, especially those 45 to 50, please mind what you eat. You can no longer eat like a child. You can't take glucose, insulin, and all that. Glucose and what do you call it again? Raw glucose or glucose, things like that, because they are going to change some things in your system. You are no longer at that age when everything is working perfectly. So it's just like an old car. Not everything will function like a new car. So you need to take care of yourself by making sure you take things with moderation. Don't eat too much carbohydrates. Don't eat too much raw sugar because your system will have problems to handling it. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Dr. Choma.
Mine is going to be very short. Well, first of all, thank Doka and Dr. Law for their summation. But I also want to say, remember to have your health checks done once a year. If you have the risk factors of developing prediabetes, let your doctor know. You can always tell your doctor, this is the age of you. Tell your doctor, I think you should check me if he didn't for prediabetes. So be mindful of what you eat. Take your health seriously. Go to your doctor at least once a year. Don't wait. This is for people in Nigeria. Don't wait until you're sick before you see your doctor. Go while you're healthy. Let them do that and give you the result, and you know, this is my blood sugar. I need to be watchful. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. So my co-host is always representing our audience in the household. Mr. Alex, what will you say your take-home has been today from today's show?
My take-home is going to center on two areas. One, mind what you eat. And secondly, an urgent need to create an awareness program to save our people back home from the dangers of prediabetes. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. It's been a great show. Before I bring back Dr. Keyna, who happens to be the host of Keyna Health Show, I want to say a very big thank you to all our viewers once again. I see Ijoma, Christy, OC, Adaize, Ijoma, Philippa. I mean, a lot of you. Thank you so much for participation. You are not just watching, but you've been participating in the conversation. Thank you so much. That is what it's all about. So take it to the next step. Make sure you share this video 10 times to somebody and tell them to share it 10 times. could cause ripple effect. And that is how you could just save a life. So once again, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Join me once again to welcome the host, Dr. Keyna Omeneko. You are on.
Okay. Hi, I want to thank everybody for listening to this very important show. I want everybody to, like Dr. Law said, as you get older, you need to be very mindful about your health. If you're 45 years and over, just watch your sugar intake. I tell people we don't need sugar in our diet. So that's one way to cut down on your risks for becoming pre-diabetic or diabetic. The processed foods are really bad for you. Use whole grain, vegetables, and fiber in your diet. I'm not going to use a percentage, but most people are low on vitamin D. So if you're not taking a vitamin D supplement, start today, start taking vitamin D supplement. Most times, vitamin D level does not get checked when you go to the doctor. You do not know that you're low. So that's another vitamin that most people need to continue to take. Go to your doctor every year. Get your blood work done. Know your numbers. It's not good enough to go to the doctor, get a blood work done. There are some highs and there's some low numbers there, and nothing gets done about it. Know what blood work your doctor is doing. Know what your numbers are. Know your blood pressure. Know your cholesterol level. Know your vitamins D level. Those things are very important. Take charge of your health, because if you don't take charge of your health, nobody else is going to do it for you. I thank everybody for watching today's show, and we'll see you all in the next 2 weeks.